Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I am going to do something a little bit different. I am actually in my office in the warmth, and I want to go through some of my past videos, the last 3 videos that I have posted this week, and I want to just do a little question and answer session. I felt like I could elaborate on some things a little bit better, and if I just read them off, maybe that would be helpful. Plus, it gives me time to talk to y'all, right? So that's what I thought I would do. I'm going to start with the first video I posted, which is future plans, seed starting, my garden, my 2025 dream goal, and questions for you. And I am going to just read the question. I'll put it on the screen, and then I may just elaborate a little bit or just want to give you a shout out for taking your time. I appreciate you guys so much. Something that I do want to mention. So we are in the midst of seed starting, right? And right now we have some crazy big plans, right? The seeds are coming out, the catalogs, it's cold outside, and we are itching to get started with our winter sowing. So winter sowing, I want to give you just a few guidelines. I want to give you clear up a few misconceptions, okay? So when you are starting seeds indoors in under grow lights, in seed trays in a controlled environment, you are using your last frost date. I had to think about that. You are using your last frost date, and you are counting backwards. And that's how you know when to start your seeds. Okay, so like if you're April 20th, you're going to count back a week, 2, 3, 4, and if it says start seeds 12 weeks out, that's when you're starting your indoor only. Hear me say this. So when you are winter sowing, which is what I am talking about today, winter sowing, I do not look at the date on or the guidelines on the seed pack. It is for indoor seed starting, okay? Or starting your seeds outside directly sown in the garden. Okay? So the way I look at it, we kind of take the advice of when to start it, ball it up and throw it away. What I do is I pick a weekend when I know that I'm going to be home and I've got time, and that's when I'm going to do a marathon seed starting. It doesn't matter if I'm supposed to start the seeds 12 weeks from my last frost or 4 weeks from my last frost. I'm starting them all on the same day. Okay? That's one question that I get regularly. Is it going to be too cold? No, you want it to be cold. The deal is the soil is going to freeze. The seeds are going to lay on the soil, in the soil, and freeze. That's okay. That's what happens in nature. We are mimicking nature with winter sowing. And so we are setting them outside and letting nature take its course. And so as the temperatures rise, the soil starts to warm. The seeds know, hey, it's time. I need to wake up. I need to germinate. Okay. A lot of times it is early. I've had it happen every single year. So I will be out there at the end of February. It's freezing outside. We've got frost warnings, and I've got green in my jugs. And yeah, somewhere in your head, you're like, oh, this goes against everything that I have ever thought about seed starting. My seeds are going to die, or my seedlings are going to die. Okay. And you may lose a few, but most of the time, I don't have any problems. Now, if I have major germination, which we'll go over all of this, okay? But I just want to kind of give you guidelines, okay? So if you have big plants, okay, I'm going to put an example, and they're in your jug, and the temperatures are getting warm, and then all of a sudden, happens all the time, you get a freeze, like a hard freeze, like, I don't know, 20 degrees for multiple days. I'm going to take and put a blanket over top of it. Now, before you come for me, there are Facebook groups that tell you you don't do anything. But what I'm telling you is it's my money that I have spent on these seeds. It's my time I've invested, and it's my garden that the seedlings are going to go in. So I'm going to use my best judgment. I know I just said this goes against all our judgment, but Common sense says if you have nice, healthy plants that are getting warm, they're doing really well, and I'm going to get a 3-day freeze, like a hard freeze, I'm just going to cover them up overnight and then I'll take them off. But I'm not moving my jugs around. I'm not moving them inside. I'm not doing any of that. The whole deal is they stay outside. Okay. So not to harp on this, but I wanted to get ahead of that type question is what I get. Oh my gosh, they've germinated and now what do I do because it's freezing outside? It's okay. It's okay. I promise it's okay. And that's why I also sometimes start the same seeds inside and outside, just so I have a little bit of insurance in case something happens. Seeds don't germinate sometimes. That's just common. I mean, that's common. It happens. Okay. It doesn't mean you did something wrong. The other thing I want to talk about is moving the jugs. Okay, and where do you place them? Do you put them in the full sun? Do you put them in the shade? Where do you put them? I like to put them in a protected location. A lot of times I put them up against my greenhouse, but in the sun that gets some shade, not full sun all day that's going to bake. I've done that before and it's been perfectly fine. But if I'm putting it out and the temperatures are getting warm, then cold, then warm, then cold, a lot of times I'm going to kind of just put them where they're a little bit more shady than full sun all day, every day. I hope that makes sense. So, for example, let me give you an example. For example, we had 65-degree days, 3 days this week. Tomorrow is going to be another 60-degree day. At night, it gets really, really cold. So if I've done my winter sowing already and I go to put them out, I'm not going to put them in the full sun. I'm going to put them in a shadier location so it's not direct sun, keeping that soil warm, and then it's going to germinate. If I am truly in the end of January, which is typically when I start my winter sowing, and the temperatures are pretty consistent, 30 degrees, and it's getting maybe up to 50, I know I'm safe. You don't want to necessarily put them out when you're still getting 60-degree days. If you have to, that's fine. Just put them in a protected location outside, not inside a greenhouse, not inside a cold house, not inside a hoop house. The deal is you're putting them outside and forgetting about them except for to check for the water. Okay. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that helps to clear some things up. I see a lot of comments where a lot of you are already starting your containers because you're just so excited. So just make sure that it is freezing outside, like you're having below 32 nights or right at 32 nights. And if you're not, but it's staying pretty close to it, just put it in a protected area. The last thing you want to do is put it outside right now and everything be so warm out that it goes ahead and germinates before it gets freezing cold. That's the only drawback to going ahead and putting it outside and getting a jump start on it. That's why I always say, like, mid to end of January to the second week of February. That way I've got enough time, if the weather is still staying warm and trending warm, that I can put it outside. So I hope that's helpful for you. Now let me see if I can answer some questions. And by all means, if you have questions about what I just said, if I'm confusing in any way, sometimes what's in my brain and what comes out of my mouth, they don't jive, and so I don't explain super well. And it's very important for me that you understand and that you feel like you can do this and you can be successful. Now, I'm also going to say this, and I'm getting close because I want you to look into my eyes and I want you to hear me say this, okay? For all of you beginners, I'm going to take my glasses off. For all of you beginners, you are going to take the motto of do it afraid. I'm telling you, the reward is so worth it, okay? You can do this. If you have never sown a single seed in your life, you can do it. I want you to know you can do it and you can be successful. Even if you do one jug and you plant 5 seeds in that one jug, you are likely going to have 5 plants. Okay, you can do this. I promise you, I'm not going to let you fall or flounder. If you agree to do this with me, I will be there by your side, virtually, of course, and I will be here to be a resource for you. If something feels like it's going wrong or sideways, let me know. But it's important that you hear me say, you can do this. Beginner gardener, never touched soil before, never, ever, ever. Follow my directions, and I promise you, you are going to do great, okay? All right.